I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. I know the problem, you've got just one policy. You do the opposite of what the Donald does. Don't know what you believe just because you got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Open the borders, let Mamdani pick your pocket. Let the boys beat the girls, they got that extra rocket. A theology degree from Starbucks. You declare that America sucks. You got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Let's get this party started. If you're left, you're blue and probably retarded. Like Rosie, De Niro, Jimmy Kimmel, Kathy Griffin. No kings, no kidding. We don't live in Great Britain. If J6 was the worst thing you've ever seen, Soros, burning Sadie's a mostly peaceful thing. Bring back the cartels, commute their crimes, sack the fact checkers like the New York Times. He's a Nazi, a fascist, a racist dictator who lets you say what you want to say.
Luke, I am your daddy.
You got that TDS. You tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. No matter what he says, you must be really dumb, 'cause you keep blaming Trump for your problem.
Side effects of Trump derangement syndrome may include violent behavior, delusions, nightmares, insomnia, irrational hatred, hopelessness, anxiety, depression, blue hair, tantrums, inability to form coherent speech, difficulty maintaining gainful employment, and verbal diarrhea.
There's no cure in sight.
Hey guys, welcome to the program. How you doing? Would you do me a flavor, please? Would you give me the finger? Could you manage it? Just a little wiggle. 2 if you want. Like, share. You could even use these. Like, share, rumble, like, share. 4 fingers. Like, share, rumble, subscribe. Anyway, folks, welcome to the program. We haven't done this in a while, and this is where I kind of open the chat to the broadcast so everybody can see the chat. Jogger Jeff says, I've grown avocado trees from seed. 2-year-old, 6 foot tall. Goal's the same as parent tree. Right? Interesting. I dig avocados. Avocados are the bomb. You want to try something good? Baked potato, same way you'd normally make it, except instead of butter and sour cream, avocado mashed in it. That's a good one. Anyway, folks, the way this is going to work is I'm just going to ask what's on your mind. And as it comes up on screen, we'll talk about it. I'm able to take the Rumble chat. And so if you want to be on screen, make sure you're following at rumble.com/Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, right? And I'll be able to pop it up on the screen. And we're just going to, I'm going to show you a couple of video pieces, but we're just going to talk about What's on your mind? Today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. All I'm asking you to do is go to jovanlovesgold.com, request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. It's very simple. The system is going to switch us over to digital money. There's probably going to be, in finance, what would be called a down round, meaning they're going to take back your equity from you. They're going to try to balance it out. I hear it could be as much as 30%. That means whatever whole dollar you have in your account now is going to be 70 cents, and they're going to basically say that's just the way it is. We have to do a down round. Folks, you've got to get ahead of this curve, right? You've got to get ahead of this curve. Please at least request your information by going to jovanlovesgold.com. Somebody asked about my goji berries. I've got 3 bushes. They're in. I managed to get 2-year-old bushes. And so year 3 is when they'll really start to produce. When I first put them in, I got kind of worried. They look really wilted. I was worried that they weren't going to make it, but they did. They're thriving. Good stuff. Anyway, folks, get ready. We might have some fun with this. Okay? We are going to have some fun with this. Let's get started right after this.
Never give up. In the late 1990s, one man dared to dream bigger than the world was ready for. He saw the internet, then mostly words and hidden IP addresses, and asked a radical question. What if every barcode on every product could instantly connect you to a website? Scan Commerce was born. He and his team manually linked millions of books, records, tapes, and consumer products to the web. Their vision? Simply scan the code and, boom, you're on the site. The problem? Only 6% of the world had internet. No camera phones. No smartphones. So he invented the QCat, a device that literally gave computers eyes. People mocked it. They ridiculed it. Mark Cuban called it the worst invention ever. But the numbers didn't lie. QCat and Q-codes became the fastest adopted computer peripheral in history, to reach 10% U.S. market penetration. Telephones, 25 years. Electricity, 30 years. Radio, 7 years. TV, 11 years. Internet, 9 years. QCat did it in just 30 days. It hit 1 million users in 30 days and 2.4 million in 60 days, faster than Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Airbnb ever dreamed of. Then disaster struck. The dot-com crash. 9/11. Markets froze. Capital died. The dream looked dead. But the inventor? He refused to quit. Jovan Hutton Pulitzer kept fighting. He nurtured those patents through the storm. He ignored the haters, the doubters, and the crash. Today, that dumb idea is the global standard and one of the most successful patent portfolios of the internet age. It's built into 21 billion mobile and wireless devices worldwide. It powers 2.7 billion scans every single day, over 1 trillion scans a year. And these scans, from one rogue idea, generate over $15 billion annually. The crazy dream that everyone laughed at now connects the world. That is the power of never giving up. It doesn't matter if they call your idea stupid. It doesn't matter if the market crashes. It doesn't matter if the world tries to bury you. What matters is that you refuse to stay buried. Your dream might be ridiculed today, but if you nurture it, protect it, and fight for it, it just might change the world tomorrow. So chase that dream. Take the shots. Fall down 7 times. Get up 8. Because the only thing standing between you and history is the decision to never give up. Now go build it. The world is waiting.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, A writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with a septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with a septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! Fuck around and find out what that is!
Warning. The following program has been rated Gilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, guys, welcome to the program. We're going to talk about what's on your mind. And the way I do this is in Rumble, I am able to explode out the chat and put it on my screen, which I'll do in a moment. By the way, just a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you, guys. You drove our newest book in the pharmacy series, pharmacy with an F, Grow Soil Bible to number one. Thank you so very much. This is the hardbound. This is really a beautiful book. I got to tell you, right? And a lot of the teaching, the reason I do these in colors, if you can, I don't know if you can see these, but you got to be able to look at the various colors in the soils and different things to kind of understand what's going on. And if you can't see the gradient pieces in it, you kind of miss it. And that's why I tend to do hardbound books in color. They're more expensive to do, but this is also the quality that's a, coffee table book. But thank you for driving that to number one. Also, a little bit of housekeeping. In very short order, may just be within a day now, you'll be able to get my newest book, which is called The Three-Toed Dragon, Communist China's Secret World to End American AI and Data Centers. This is the real war behind it. And you will see what's being fought over, why it's important, but also how the system is using psychological warfare on this data center stuff. And so few people really do their research. And so the bottom line, if you want to understand, if we lose the AI data war, you think information's bad now. Information as we know it will be over I'll give you a prime example. Yes, the United States of America, it has 5,000 data centers. People forget that all the telecoms, everything else have data centers. They've been around the United States of America literally since the 1930s and 40s. But anyway, but our power grid is 80 years old. China, on the other hand, Tucker Carlson said, well, why is not China building them if this is great? Because China built the power grid. Our grid can't support it. They know, and they're fighting this warfare so they can get a hold of data centers and control AI. Nothing ever, from the true standpoint that China does not want out, will ever hit it. And that's what the three-toed dragon is. You've got to understand what's at stake. So it's a reader so you can defend against it, but also you can understand, especially if you think they're infecting your neighborhood and all this other stuff going on. You got to know the issue. Second thing is, in all of this, I'm terrified of what's happening to our children in this data war at the same time. I can be for data, big data, but I'm also against how it's used wrong. And it has been used wrong against our children. And so I'm releasing the Golem effect, precious pixels, deadly devices, and how the digital social era is creating killer kids. Some of this stuff, when I share with you the numbers and what kids are doing to parents when they take away their devices, are just going to devastate you. This book will explain from the future standpoint of how this affects our kids, etc. Anyway, you'll put your questions and stuff in chat. I will pop them out. Somebody said, Jovan, I just chimed in. That was kind of rude to ask about your berries. Well, my berries are open even for personal inspection. If you want to see how well my berries are, how well they do, plump, full of life, right? Energy, vitality, you're welcome. We'll work it out and you can come and inspect my berries. Yeah, we were talking about goji berries, right? And you're welcome to do it. I think all of us need to get control, right? Have to get control of our food supply. That's called food sovereignty. A few of the questions that came up on the screen earlier as the intro was, right, going, yeah, Texas Liberty knows that my berries are smooth and succulent. I know that. And I authorize you to inform everybody that. You don't have to share the pictures. I'll share my own pictures, but you know what I'm saying. I appreciate it. Look, just so you understand historically, when I talk about Goldco and I talk about a down round, basically it's about wiping the value of money. Our country did this in 1933 when they devalued the dollar and confiscated gold at an official price, right, at $20.67 an ounce. You have to understand that. It also, with the Cyprus, with the Greek bailout in 2013, it happened. Everybody did a down round in it, in the converting of money. 47.5% of all the deposits were unsecured. And basically what they did was a down round. It happens, okay? And I just want you to understand why that happens. And that's why I tell you, you've got to understand what role precious metals pay in it. And you can't, what are you going to do, fight it? We're going to fight, they took $1,000 out of my account or what? Are we going to spend $10,000 to sue on fight on it? That's what they hope you never do. It's a numbers game, right? And that's why you have to understand how the government does this stuff to you. One of the other questions before I pop up my chat here as I pull it out. Hang on, I'm going to look at one screen. While you can see that, let me get the pop out chat. Let me get over here. Let me pump it up. That way you'll be able to see it. Anyway, this particular question was, Jovan, I know the rig is primarily from paper ballots versus the machines. What about the tabulators? And are our elections rigged through tabulators, changing votes on top of the paper, on top of using paper ballots? Pop quiz. What is a tabulator? In our election systems, what is a tabulator? Do you know? And if you don't know, it's okay. Or if you think you have a description of what it is, hang on, and I'm going to get over here to my screen and I'll put on chat and we'll just see what people say. There it is. As to what is a tabulator. Somebody said a Dell, somebody said an iPad, a scanner, somebody said a counting machine. Over on Facebook, or excuse me, Twitch, they said an adding machine, the count, right? Counts, votes, cast, a counter, an adding machine. Here's what you need to know. A tabulator is a high-speed scanner. That's it. It's a high-speed scanner. It counts nothing. It records nothing. It prints nothing. The only counter that the physical tabulator does inherently is know how many paper ballots went through it in a batch, like the dollar bill counter. That's a tabulator. Easiest way for you at home, remember when you had a flatbed scanner or a fax machine, you feed it in and it goes? That's what a tabulator is, period, in its simplest form. It is the programs, right? The programs that when the scan comes in through something you've heard of before in its simplest form, OCR, optical character recognition, right? It recognizes what's there. It's got a set of directions or map markers. That's what all the hash marks are on the different parts of the ballot. Tells it where to look and, okay, this is what it means for this ballot. That is a tabulator. All the information that goes into it goes into the election management software. That's actually where the count is. And so you got to ask yourself, well, they get the things in and they scan the ballot in to say it's there. Well, then it knows everything that's there because it scanned it in, right? Or you're at your election precinct and you fed the ballot in. Oh, well, it knows everything that's there. Right. Why do they take it to a tabulator? See, when the mail-in ballots are open, when they first come in, like in Maricorruption County, almost a month before, they'll scan them in. They just say, we don't count them. They know everything. They know everything the moment it's scanned in. So in order to perfect that, well, we don't really count it, they created this thing called a tabulator. And then they changed the definition. And the definition means, okay, all the early votes or mail-ins come in and we've scanned them, but we don't count them. And they pull out the card, and then it's got to be transported to a tabulation center because people are too dumb to count, right? And then when it's rerun in, then it is officially counted. Do you understand where the hack is in that? The moment that paper hits any form of the electronic scan, they know everything that's there. But in order to do the charade of, well, we don't really count them. We don't look. We don't ever look at them. They had to come up with a cover, which nobody ever questioned. Nobody at all ever questioned, right? Well, only that one over there can count them. It's all BS, because what they're doing is they're enabling the people, paper, and programs. That's how it works. And so the tabulator itself is a scanner. Period. Who, even before the information gets there, knows all the information anyway, because they've watched it the whole time. But they've got to convince you they're doing something. So why did they create a step where, no, the precinct can't count it? We got to count it over here, because they need to extend it out and have the time and get these breaks in between. And it's the breaks in between that are manipulated. But the tabulators don't print on the ballots or change the votes or anything like that. Period. They don't. Could machines be made that actually change votes? Yes. But here's what you got to understand. It'd be incredibly easy to find. So what they have to do is they have to mask the findings. And the way they mask the findings is they need a time hack. And therefore, they have to protract it out. You've got to understand, if it actually comes in one way and then changes it, it leaves a trail. This is where most people don't understand, and I'll give you an example, and I'll use the Tina Peters case as an example. In Mesa Report 1, Mesa Report 2, and Mesa Report 3, how many votes were found to have been changed? How many votes? Put it in chat. How many votes in the Mesa County records, Report 1, Report 2, or Report 3, how many votes were changed? Right. 0. You can go back and read it yourself. 0 were changed. Not a 1. Period. It said files were missing. It said files were missing. Now, here's the next pop quiz. We know this happened in 2020. When did they start doing these upgrades, a trusted build? When did they start doing upgrades? You know, like Tina Peters, a trusted build. We didn't know it. When did they start doing that? Not 2020. Try 2000. Those two have been around forever. But if you don't look at things in context, you can be led down a path to believe something. And here, I'll give you a good example. Let me stop sharing. Here, let me go remove that. Let me go here. Let me go here. I talk to myself when I do shit like this. Do you do it? I give myself instructions going through it. Isn't that weird? But I'm not the only weirdo. I know that. Let's see. Here. Let me share my screen with you. And I'll explain something that may help you here. The Election Crime Bureau, brought to you by Mike Lindell. Anyway, Patrick Colbeck posted, Fauci COVID role exposed by DNI Tulsi Gabbard as she leaves office. But wait, there's more. Fauci is also tied to the development of election tool that enables election fraud. Now, that says a lot there. Patrick, who's not one for facts, and I've called out this before, and I talked about it openly. Let me see if this moves on my screen. Let me see if that went up. Did that go up? It's probably not the one. Did this one go up? Okay. I think this is it here. And so I wrote an article, right? Did Anthony Fauci fund patents for fake voters as Lindell Network's Election Crime Bureau claims? Well, I take you through all of the information. And basically what Patrick said, and this is bullshit, and this is where we need to get better, because if we don't have standards, how can we expect the systems to have standards, right? But he's trying to tell you that Fauci funded particular patent 759, whatever, provides false voting data associated with, and here it is right here on my screen. It provides false voting data on it. Let me see if I can get this bigger on my screen. There you go. Okay. So there it says provides false voting data. And you're running Fauci on elections. This is why I wrote this article. Well, Colbeck, who does not, one, does not understand this, or two, is instantly manipulating it. I've called him out before. The facts are, and this is why you have to understand how all of these things work. Is Fauci tied to the development of an election tool that enables election fraud? Here's the fact, okay? The National Institute of Health, operating with government support under Orders for Service, DOD, FBAP 202, blah, 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 awarded a patent to Accenture. Basically, they provided funding. Accenture did the work. Accenture created a patent around it. But because it came from government funding under the CIOSP program, the government has a toenail in it. Here's what you have to understand. The NIH only administered the IT contract. I know this is really weird, but what it is they have a mechanism that for some reason it got set up under NIH a long time ago, okay? And they have a thing called indefinite delivery, indefinite quality government-wide acquisition contract. So anything can be done under there. This is the patent in question. Dynamic auditing of electronic elections. Okay? Here's the patent you can look at. It was filed in July 8th of 2025. It was originally filed December 23rd, 2023. It's a continuation in part of an original patent. Most people have no idea how to even read these things, okay? But it does not mean Fauci personally funded, directed, or approved, or whatever. Fauci led exclusively the Biomedical Institute. What this was done, okay, and by the way, this is for Patrick Colbeck, this is bullshit. And I call Lindell Network out on this all the time. It's total clickbait bullshit, misleading people. What this was is they were developing the Federal Voting Assistance Program under the Defense Department. They had to find a way to allow better all of our military personnel to be able to vote. Because remember, they can send in a fax, they can do this, they can do that, okay? All they created was a way to audit what was sent in from any military base regarding a vote. The patent can be described as follows: covers an electronic voting system and a method that audits the system by injecting known test ballots tied to user test identifiers, encrypting and storing those tests through the voting system, and then decrypting on the opposite end, comparing them back and forth to make sure it's the right person. This was developed to do electronic self-checking. That's it, for military personnel. Now, it can create and recognize test voters. It is a security program designed, ironically, for auditing. It's an audit mechanism. It is not based on any way, but here's the Patrick, who is either intentionally this or is just dumber than a fucking stump. And if Patrick is on, I would say, Patrick, you're dumber than a fucking stump. He uses, it says, false voters. The present invention relates to a system and method for dynamically auditing of electronic, and it says auditing, using electronic registration and voting system. In particular, the present invention provides false voting data associated with false voters to the voting system, recovers the voting records associated with the false voters, and compares the data to stored voting records to the original false data. It's a way to catch it, to flag it. That word false only appears in the abstract. the abstract is not the patent, never has been, never will be. It's an audit system, period. Now, the reason I even show that is because just like tabulators or whatever, there's so much people do not understand about technology. That abstract is for the patent office adjuster that looks at this. How would you describe what it's looking for? It's looking for false records, records that were created fraudulently, false. It is not a way to create false records. It is a way to find, ferret out, and eliminate false records. Exclusively for Uakava. And by the way, they could never deploy it. They didn't operationalize it. Accenture, an accounting firm, said, hey, we could probably do this. But even what Accenture didn't know is those databases don't talk to each other and open. So the patent is actually kind of useless. But this is why I go where so many people have, you think certain things change the ballot. Can they change the vote? Granted, adjudication, which is separate, ballot comes in, you got an original record of the ballot. The system say, hey, there's extra dots or line here. That becomes an adjudication ballot. It goes over here. The ones that go in with no problem go over here. That's where they fake the counting of it. Adjudication, right? The adjudication part of it, they can, in fact, create, they say, no, it was this. And so you can have something that looks like this. They can, in fact, change it. But then it has a secondary file. You always have the original. You have the paper ballot. You have the original cast vote record. You have the changed record. You have the adjudicated record over here and how it went to the management system. And that's why, again, Lindell and team, go get the cast vote records. If they won't, take your pillow and hit them with it. The cast vote records that everybody went and got are the one that the system say, okay, here's the final version. These guys didn't even know there were 6 different versions. Didn't even know which one to ask for. But what it did in that mad rush to get cast vote records is it made half of the United States jurisdictions outlaw giving them to somebody who was not a government employee. That was the net effect of it. And so a lot of this, people just don't understand the aspects of technology. And just because something in an abstract designed for auditing, a false record, it wants to find the false record. It says the word false. It's fraud, it's fraud, it's fraud. This is what we have to overcome. But also you understand a lot of this warfare is to make the right look stupid. And so you can see somebody reading this. You can see somebody believing Lindell and team, Fauci paid for it. Somebody will invariably take Patrick's stupid ass, ill-informed clickbait here. Somebody will invariably drop this into a lawsuit somewhere trying to fight this. Okay? And say this is proof of election fraud, and the case will be kicked to the curb because it's blatantly not. A lot of the psychological warfare is getting people to do bullshit, right? To do bullshit, to add bullshit into their pleadings and stuff that are not based on fact. Because, see, this is where you end up doing work for the bad system. Let's say you're in East Jesus Junction, Utah, and you say, and here it is. And so when we know it, because we lost the election because Fauci and the government can create votes. You don't know much. You've never fought an election case. You put it into your pleadings. You throw it into the court, and then the court boots you. You do understand that that is a tactic to get cases dismissed. Because obviously, you're an idiot and you don't know anything about what you're filing. If they can get you to add this bullshit in your legal pleadings, it is what allows the judge to say this is stupid ass conspiracy bullshit, and it is. But look at who does that to you. And so, yeah, some people got pissed at me for writing that article, but patents is my space, baby. And Patrick's done this several times before, right? Now, I'm gonna give you a fine example. You saw Patrick's article there. You saw Patrick's article there. Patrick has what? How many followers does? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something on how the system doesn't want you to know the truth. Okay, let's look up something. Hold on one sec. Patrick Colbeck has 33,100 followers. If you look at Patrick Colbeck, he can actually do subscriptions. You have to hit a certain level of traffic, and X will authorize you to do subscription stuff. I have just under 150,000 followers, and I can't even get over that threshold. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. This is how the system helps foster certain things. And you see the numbers and you see how it's propped up, and you really see who's suppressed, who they stop it. I can't even get to the threshold number with 150,000 followers of my work, and you got somebody at 33. But they'll do that because it can be amplified and go at thousands and thousands alike, and people will run with that headline. That's the danger. That's the real danger of running with headlines or running with influencers that don't actually do it. And you've got to ask yourself that. He can post something erroneous like this and have 4,000 people like. I can post something critical and have 4. That's the system. I'm going to give you one example. The system can admit it blatantly, just why we're on Lindell. Let me show you something that just aired. I want you to listen very carefully.
Senate Majority Leader, and he's saying all of that because the Republicans in the Senate are not trying to push through his bill to restrict voting in this country.
Well, that's right. This is this horrible thing, the SAVE Act, one of the worst, most anti-election democracy things that's ever been proposed. They say it's all about ID, voter ID. It's not. They will remove 25 million people off the rolls. Why? Because they'll require under this act, which is not going to pass, and we're not going to let it pass. We've defeated in court. I was a lead plaintiff in the decision to do that. We've refused to give them the votes that they would want for this. We never will. What it does is it says every state send your election rolls not to the Justice Department or the voting division, but to the Department of Homeland Security, where Musk and Doge and Vote have installed an algorithm that determines whether you're legitimately right to vote or not. The algorithm is a fix. It'll knock 20 million people, 30 million people off the rolls, and they don't tell you. So Mr. Lawrence O'Donnell could show up at the same voting place he showed up every so often.
Now, what did Chuck Schumer just admit? Right? What did Chuck Schumer just admit in that? He admits that, in fact, there are 25 million voters, and I'm going to play it again because it's more, that he knows and they're worried about that as soon as it's turned over, they're going to be found and they're going to be removed. Let me play that again.
Senate Majority Leader, and he's saying all of that because the Republicans in the Senate are not trying to push through his bill to restrict voting in this country.
Well, that's right. This is this horrible thing, the SAVE Act, one of the worst, most anti-election democracy things that's ever been proposed. They say it's all about ID, voter ID. It's not. They will remove 25 million people off the rolls. Why? Because they'll require, under this act, which is not going to pass, and we're not going to let it pass. We've defeated in court. I was a lead plaintiff in the decision to do that. We've refused to give them the votes that they would want for this. We never will. What it does is it says every state send your election rolls not to the Justice Department or the voting division, but to the Department of Homeland Security, where Musk and Doge and Vote have installed an algorithm that determines whether you're legitimately right to vote or not. The algorithm is a fix. It'll knock 20 million people, 30 million people off the rolls, and they don't tell you. So, Mr. Lawrence O'Donnell.
So, what you hear there is Schumer complaining about this, knowing that these have to be turned over this way. And that's how we find the bad people on the rolls. Now, I've had this discussion personally with the president, face to face, of how we really need to do it. Here's how we find them. Here's how we parse them out. You think it's only Schumer and buddies that perpetrate this fraud? Let me show you what the GOP and other people support.
So you have a centralized statewide voter roll that's on networked machines, servers. It has a public-facing internet interface. That's it. That's all I need to know that it's blown. That's a centralized statewide voter roll that was mandated by Help America Vote Act. They have these all over the country. And it's not just that you have a public-facing internet interface to it, but multiple organizations have what's called an API, or an application programming interface. In other words, a machine-to-machine interface into that voter roll. And I'm telling you this because when people say, well, we have to clean up the voter rolls, it's true that they're not following the law. It's true that they're not in good faith maintaining them in accordance with Title 52 that requires that the voter rolls be both secure and accurate. That's a requirement imposed on the secretaries of state who've received the Help America Voting Act and CARES Act funding to maintain those voting systems. What nobody's going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you, is you cannot clean those rolls. You're sweeping a dirt floor.
On one side, the president knows we have this problem. I've told you for years, I've showed you, Doge showed you. 32 million people on the rolls that are bad. The left says it's going to disenfranchise voters.
Senate Majority Leader, and he's saying all of that because the Republicans in the Senate are not trying to push through his bill to restrict voting in this country.
Well, that's right. This is this horrible thing, the SAVE Act, one of the worst, most anti-election democracy things that's ever been proposed. They say it's all about ID, voter ID. It's not. They will remove 25 million people off the rolls. Why?
You do understand that is the same protective messaging. The left working on feelings, and this is why you think a tabulator can change a vote. They need bad information out there to come from all different areas. And so while Schumer admits 25 to 30 plus million, because they'll find out they're not citizens, the right, which you paid for, by the way, you donated $18 million to Lindell Defense Fund. His people tell him, you can't do it. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to tell you, sweeping the dirt floor, you can't do it. Both sides of the coin shared exactly the same message. Don't you dare mess with the voter rolls. I want you to think about that. This is how it works. The language is different depending upon who you're talking to. The language is different because they're using your hot buttons, right? They're using, hold on. I don't know what happened. Hold on. You got to stand by because I've got some feedback. Okay, hang on. Okay, I got to figure out where. Can y'all hear this sound on my screen? Put it in chat. Do you hear this? Okay. Where is this? Okay, what I got to try system. One down, one down, one down. Here, here, here. That's weird. Did y'all hear all that, or was I just freaking hallucinating? Could y'all hear that on my screen? Okay, sorry. I was like, what the hell is that separate video playing? I don't even know where it is on my system. Half of you are saying you can, half of you are saying you can't. Isn't that interesting? Now that I got to check out. How does that happen? Anyway, do you see that it's both sides of the system saying the same thing, but talking to their base about it? One saying they're going to disenfranchise voters, poor black people, poor. Blah, blah, blah. That's their messaging. The messaging on the right, well, yeah, but it can't. It's crooked. It can't. They can't do it. We can't do it. We can't do that. To dissuade people. These are the same coin being flipped that has the same agenda. And that agenda is don't mess with this stuff. Let me get back to, I'm going to pull my system back up now. I want to get back to putting your chat back up on screen. So let me get back here. All of that tanked my systems for a moment. Wow. I had some sort of weird catastrophic failure in my systems here playing that. It's the machines. In that case, it was. Okay, let me get my chat back out. Where are you, Hootie Doody? Come on, damn it. I apologize, folks. Forgive me. Here. Pop back out chat. There we go. Let me bring it back up. I'm thinking y'all could hear that, because if I can hear it in my studio headsets, then I know y'all can hear it. Okay. Okay. Let me get this back on my screen. Share screen. Go here. Go here. Go here. Go here. Now, okay. Now we got the chat back up. Anyway. Are y'all able to see the same messaging in that? Right? One side freaking out, you're going to check the voter rolls and it's going to disenfranchise people. And the other side of the people saying, so one of you is saying it's happened before, a tab where something was playing. Yeah, I don't know what it was playing there. I couldn't find it out. But some of you said you could hear it playing in the background. I could certainly hear it. It's blaring in my ear. I think this is where people kind of lack discernment in how any of this happens. Anyway, I want to open it back up for your questions. I didn't tend to go that far off on that tangent, but I want to open it back to you and your questions. I want to find out, where are you in this mess? What do you have to say about what's going on? Are we making headway? Do you think we're making headway on this? So Robbie says, does Trump know what an ass clown Lindell is? I could tell you yes, but the system tap dances because a lot of that money that you gave him for access, he turned around and made donations, right? And politicians are going to take the donations, and you can have totally bad advice, but if you at least walk the party tune, the party's going to protect you. And that's like Frankie and Johnny says, voted for Trump. He's not a politician. I'm not, I'm the same way. I'm not a politician, etc. And Rumble, I don't know. I keep on telling Rumble, I sent to executives even yesterday, you've got a bug in people that watch browser-based. By the way, let's just do a quick poll because he's 808 saying, hey, who controls Rumble? How many of you are watching Rumble feed right now in a browser? I'm not talking the Rumble app. I'm just talking in a browser of some sort, desktop or otherwise. How many of you are watching in the browser? Because when I see it, I'm seeing it in a browser. Yeah. What I find happens for some reason in Rumble is that you always have to keep on restarting it. The stream's not just going to continually play. Are you finding that as well? That it'll just stop? Right? Let me tell you, and I keep on telling them about this. Yeah, most of you in the browser, right? There is a glitch that has been written into Chrome and Microsoft and all these other ones. They are intentionally timing out the streams. And it'll just stop. And then you got to refresh. And then it'll just stop and refresh. And I'm talking in a 1 hour program, it will happen at least 6 times. At least 6 times. Kitty uses Brave browser, says no problem. Somebody saying Firefox, no problem. Somebody saying in Brave. I haven't tried Brave. I guess I should. Beak says he's using fucktards. Maybe that's why it works. Okay. But this happens quite often. And the way I look at it, I see it, it's a browser hook. It's a way to get people frustrated. Fucking Rumble's glitchy. I'm getting off Rumble. I'm going somewhere else. That's what I'm trying to figure out, what's going on in it, because I'm experiencing the same thing anyway. So while we've got chat up, what I want to know is what's on your mind. Okay. What's on your mind? Where are we winning? Where are we losing? And a lot of people complaining about Rumble. I keep on telling Rumble this. Right? I keep on telling Rumble this. And by the way, numbers across all my platforms are grossly suppressed. Right? I have no updates in Georgia. 0. None. Don't know where the ballots are. Don't know if they're going to get the ballots. All I know is, even like in Wisconsin, where they secreted away the ballots, they want to destroy them now. Nobody's letting anybody, right, to buy ballots. Crystal wants to know, why are wheat berries super high to process flours? Because they don't want you grinding your own. And you got to find the alternative suppliers. Crystal, that's the hack. They're subsidizing wheat. They want you to have the blended, cheaper BS wheat versus the ones that grow the purer wheats. And it's a way of pricing it out of the market. Right? X, yes, X is incredibly suppressive still. And you can't ask Elon to change that. He can't look at every account. You can't. But what do you think's going on? Where are we winning? Are you starting to see truly how sophisticated this con is? Right? Have you seen how both sides play in this con? How both sides are doing it? I even posted a video the other day. One of the big conservatives that podcast daily posted a video from what would it be? 15 years ago, doing a video in support of reading the Quran, following the Quran. Where did I get my succulent berries, Liberty? I handle them a lot. I do. The key to great berries, to have them be really shiny and succulent, is to handle them a lot. Emu check. X just permanently banned your account. Wow. What they do is they gang up on people. I've noticed something on my X. I can tell you a little something that I discovered. If you were watching something that I post controversial, but you were sitting on my end, the moment I post it, I can see a comment, but then when I click to see the comment, I can't see the person or the thing. Many times I've asked you guys, who's commenting on this, because I can't see them. What they do is they have really bad spam accounts. They'll block you so you can't see them. Then they'll turn around and post some bullshit comment on what you do, and it flags you in the system that you're promoting their spam. When are the arrests for the conspiracy or Mar-a-Lago? Ain't going to happen. And let me ask you a question. Why does that matter in the world of things? If they went and arrested somebody for you did the bullshit at Mar-a-Lago, will it change anything in the United States? Just a question. Will it change anything? That's right. Crystal, you can see it. They say they block the people that are hardcore followers of mine. They block you too, so you can't see it. The boost in the SpaceX stock is going to take a bit. The shiny ability's gone. Cinco just suspended your account as well. Wow. See, the tactic they use is mass reporting of accounts to get accounts suspended because they know most people will never come back. And that's how they stop people from sharing information that share information from other people. Yeah, a lot of you follow me, but rarely see posts. I post on X probably 10 times a day. Do you see me 10 times a day? No. And that doesn't include the 2 programs. Will arresting Fauci change anything? Not a fucking thing. Not a change. What will it change? If they arrested Fauci for being a bad guy and doing all this stuff, what would change in our system? You would think the system did something, but what would change? Nothing. Nothing. If you don't see me on X, you got to look for me on X. I'm there 10 times a day, like clockwork, sharing stuff with you. But yet you've got to come find me. It should be a daily habit that you just automatically check my account. So somebody says, so don't hold them accountable. Did I say that? Or did you say that? Did I say that? Or did you say that? Did you actually hear? So don't hold them accountable is my recommendation. Street TV, where the fuck did you get that? I said, what if Fauci gets arrested or Mar-a-Lago people conspire? What will change? That was my question. Why don't you answer that? So don't hold them accountable? I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said, what would change? If they arrested Fauci, nothing will change in our elections. Nothing will change in our economics. Nothing will change in what's going on right now. Is there any way to stop the rig via executive order? Only at the federal level. Trump can only decide what happens federally, not at the state level when it comes to election. And because it's an executive order, it would be undone by the next president that comes in. It would give us a hope that. So, loyal patriot, you want hope. I want to make sure I understand this. What is most important to you is hope. It worked for Obama. In fact, that was his campaign slogan. Hope, hope, hope. But Loyal Patriot would give you hope what? Do you understand? And God bless you for putting what you feel. That's great because it's a teaching moment. See, all we get is hopium. We need action. We need to get past hope and get to action. The difference is, Jeff Jogger, are you saying that it won't change until it's made to change, meaning federal actions? Jogger, which one are you talking about? You got to be specific so I know what you're saying. Right? Got to understand which one it is. See, I think everybody's been created to hope. So let's describe hope. Will you? When you watch soccer's going on, let's say you're watching soccer right now, and you sit there, what are you doing? I hope my team, I hope he scores a goal. I hope. All you're cheering is hoping. But are you doing anything? Do you follow my question? Streety says, arrest or accountability. How does that not help? I didn't ask what would help. Street, get on this. I asked if those guys were arrested in Mar-a-Lago, I asked what would change. You just answered a different question. Our arrest accountability. Let's play this one out. You want to talk Mar-a-Lago? You want to talk Fauci? Let's say they find an FBI agent that all over his private stuff, he's got fuck Trump, Trump is a pedo, fuck Trump, that kind of crap. And they arrest that agent because he's the one that took Melania's panties. Now he's held accountable. What would change? That person would in fact be held accountable. And I'm going off this comment I highlighted, arrest or accountability. How does that not help? Again, you're on a whole different topic. I didn't ask what would help the situation. I didn't sell any hopium. I went right straight through the bullshit to the truth. Okay, you arrest somebody for the Mar-a-Lago raid. Then I said, how does that change anything? Let's take this one. See, I just don't think it changed anything. I don't know what you're saying here, 808. Slavage, Trump is alleged to ignore some big issues. Sandy Hook, false flag, Alice Jones, throwing trial and discovery, debasing First and Second Amendment. Jovan, Trump is alleged to ignore. Who wrote that sentence? Who said that those? So let me ask you a question. President Trump comes out and says, Alex Jones was right. Sandy Hook was play actors. Let's use that one. There you go, Frankie and Johnny. Accountability will not change what has already happened. There you go. Jeff Jogger says, all right, Hillary didn't get arrested because it would have been too disruptive. No, Hillary didn't get arrested because she put in place all the people that would make sure she didn't get arrested. You got to decide what you want. See, do arrest lead to accountability? Do arrest lead to accountability system-wide? See, I think until they really take down a big fish perp, nothing will change. I've said this, and I'm going to say something wildly controversial. I don't care if a single person gets arrested for the crap that was done in 2020, as long as we get all of the breaks fixed. Think about it. I would exchange every, right? Some of you go, yeah, Jeff, you can rob a bank now. Tomorrow is history. Move on. Hey, jogger Jeff, if you're not jogging, why don't you come in live? Let's discuss this. Right? It's too hard in chat. And so will you be willing to come on and let's just discuss these things? Let's run them out because it's a teaching moment for everybody. Did I talk about bank robbers? Did I say, so you can rob a bank? Let's go. You can rob a bank. You can burn a house. You can diddle a kid. You can steal a car. You can steal a plane. How many do you want me to put in there? What will you come out next? Tomorrow's history, so move on. Arrests are supposed to lead to accountability. No. Arrest and accountability are two different things. Arrest and accountability are two different things. Do arrest, and Streety says, Jogger Jeff's right. Streety, you can come on too. Take the same click. Here, Streety, here you go. It can be you too. Let's discuss this. In fact, I'll put you both on. Here's my premise I'm offering you. I don't believe arrest and accountability are synonymous. Arrest are designed, see, Streety just says again, arrests lead to accountability. No. In our world, what criminal acts have arrest eradicated? Name me one thing where arrest ended a crime. Just one. I just want one instant in human history where arrest ended any particular crime. Just name me one. I don't care. Rape, murder, pedophilia, incest. I don't care what it is. Give me one record in human history where arrest prevented the crime. There isn't. Arrests are a deterrent, but an arrest is not an accountability. Accountability comes from one source. Set God aside. One source. No, Al Capone got arrested, but did he change mobbing and running bootlegs or anything? Did it change anything? No, it gave the government another tool, but did it start it? Okay. Come on, guys. Y'all should join me. Let's have this discussion. I put a link. Let's have a discussion. Here's an interesting one. Let's use a different word, not accountability. What we hunger for is justice. If wrongdoers aren't punished, we are not satisfied. Let's go there. Let's take the word justice. Don't they want justice for Carmelo Anthony? Justice for George Floyd? Let me ask you a question. Do you want justice? Will justice fix it? Hold on. Will justice fix it? Justice will make you feel good. But here's the question I'm asking. Will justice fix it? See, this is where you got to get really down to how all this works. And what are you really asking for? You know, because many times, thank God for unanswered prayers, right? See, I don't think arrest lead to accountability. Let's go back and look at arrest. The person willingly, for whatever reason, idiocracy or money, decided to break the law and took the risk. Everybody who got arrested for it prior to them didn't even enter their mind. Justice for George Floyd. The cop went to jail. He's been shanked like 21 times. Did that give justice for people that believe that bullshit of George Floyd? No. Justice? No. Hey, Jogger Jeff, how's it going, brother?
It's good. It's good.
Hey, tell me where you're from. Tell me what you do before we get started in the discussion here, and I appreciate you coming on. Where you from?
Well, I'm down in Miami, Florida, and I work in education.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
God bless you. That's the second line important to being a mom.
I see a lot of people. I hear what you say, and I appreciate you. Make a lot of sense.
Let's talk about will arrest and accountability. That was the thing. Arrest leads to accountability. I want to understand your premise that arrest leads to accountability and what you're trying to say by that, because the text part's too short.
Well, texting was difficult to do. If you don't make the arrest, then that's why I referenced that rob a bank today. It doesn't matter tomorrow. I mean, so what? There has to be some type of a penalty involved where other people are now discouraged from doing that. We're rewarding it by not arresting anybody, by looking the other way or allowing things to happen.
We are not. I'm not. So you said we, and I'm not in that batch. So who rewards it?
Well, if people are not arrested, then we, the people, are not getting it done.
But see, you're changing the subject, and I'm asking a very specific question.
All right.
The question I gave the juxtaposition art is literally we were talking about any of them. If an arrest happened, Mar-a-Lago or Fauci or any of it, will it change the system? Now, what everybody changed the topic to was accountability. Now, I've offered that that's not accountability. That's holding someone accountable. But see, we're talking about a system, accountability.
Would it not then change the system to effectively break the system that we are identifying as being a problem?
Well,
and then you have
now you're on the real subject, because see, that's what I would have told you. I said there's only outside of God who's responsible for accountability.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, what we have to do is we don't wait for the system or the people to be held accountable. We must hold the system and people accountable. And that's a huge difference than waiting, like cheering on TV. Oh, justice, justice, justice. I'm removing, we're always expecting it out of somebody else except us. And that's my whole point. See, I think if people are just waiting, demanding justice or demanding accountability, what are you doing? You're
aren't you building it up then? Because let's say any of us, I can run out my front door and scream, "This is unfair. This is illegal, unjust." And what am I going to be accomplishing then? We have organizations that represent us. We have representatives. We have state, local, federal.
Do you have any, name one of them in your area that work for you that actually do what you want?
Oh, well, now see,
what's the difference between walking out your front door and yelling it, or sitting right now in front of thousands of people discussing it?
Well, let's say you take the local police department. I think they represent me.
Okay.
but they're not going to come to my house and say, well, you think, whatever is unfair. Therefore, we're going to go investigate it. It's not like that.
No,
It's
no,
not
no.
that at all.
But that's what I'm saying. See, we push so much to a third party. You actually hit on it. Nothing changes until we demand accountability. But in your side of the equation, you keep on inserting something other than yourself. The only subtle difference I'm making is, and the reason I say there is no accountability, is we expect other people to do it. So let me give you an example. I've sat behind this microphone just in this politics iteration for over 6,000 hours educating. This is how I personally work to hold the system accountable. I know it's not about bitching about the lawmakers. It's about getting people to understand all of the nuances, how they weasel out, and how we don't get fixes and they work around us. I showed some of that stuff earlier. That's what I'm saying accountability is. We have been taught, like Pavlov's dog, to think it's from the agencies at any level. Now, basic crime, yes, police, for in their bailiwick, somebody comes rob your home. It wouldn't be right for them to come to your home and talk about your emotions and feelings unless you lived in the UK, and then they put you in jail. But you understand what I'm saying. We must understand the very simple concept of we the people, which means we are accountability. And people have forgotten we are supposed to instruct our lawmakers. If I was to ask how many people have actually sat down, physically written a letter instructing their lawmaker, and this is what needs to be done, and this is what I'm expecting you. Okay.
Minuscule.
Right. It's minuscule. Yeah. Let me show you about cowards, because the one thing I detest.
I take my local rep as an example. I talked to her before she was elected, and she came off as, I'll reference MAGA, and I was very happy about it. But her voting record is anything but that. And I call her office. I talk to her people. Now, are they listening to me?
Yeah,
but they're not.
One second. Since Streety actually suggests that he or she, because I don't know, is holier than thou, better than all of us, right? Let's get Streety on as well, because Streety's saying we elected them to do it.
Well, they're supposed to. They're our representatives now. I'm not speaking for Streety, but
what do we know about that? We know that is not working. You talked to them before they went into office. So all I'm saying is we now know, no matter what the topic is, when it comes to government, they are not listening to us.
Well, now history has a lot of stories about that, doesn't it?
They do. And I'm not going to the string them up bullshit, because that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about human accountability. Yes, you talked to a lawmaker before they got into office. I would offer you two things. Do you think the lawmaker remembers? And if they're not in office, did it matter? No, it didn't on the face of it. He's not going to remember. And number two, could they do anything about it? So yes, you talked to somebody, but they couldn't do anything about it. But see, my question is about the words, not about the emotions. And everybody dives quickly into the emotions part. I'm trying to help people get further. Okay. Here's a good one. I'm going to put it on the screen.
So you're doing more than just water cooler talk. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hold on. Skips on it says, so what accountability has all Jovan's efforts accomplished? Well, I can tell you, I see it every day. While the whole system is telling President Trump it's the machines, what is President Trump actually focusing on? The voter rolls and get rid of the mail-in ballots. I can tell you exactly what comes from my efforts.
Maybe we're seeing frustration by lack of voting for the...
Frustration is key, and that's what the system needs us. The system needs us so freaking emotional that we can't even see things are being done right before our eyes. You see all of these big events being, even an election terrorist, the machines, and we got to do it and hold a rally and a rah-rah, we got to do this and it's that. But what is President Trump doing? Voter rolls, mail-in ballots, voter roll, and he's put the whole thing into action. But
that's great. Now he stopped from doing it because he wants to make it a law, and the Republicans are preventing it. What can he do about it now?
Not a thing.
So where does that leave us?
It leaves us that enough of us don't actually get involved and instruct our lawmakers.
Well, you mean like call them, and what other than
They're
hold their
trained.
hand while they sign something?
No. It's a multi-part strategy that requires incredible effort on our behalf. But you should be emailing your lawmaker,
Absolutely.
physically writing letters to lawmakers, and literally calling the lawmakers. Now, what is the most effective of those three? Do you know what it is?
I would think the letter to them.
Yes. You know why? You know how many letters it takes?
They don't get, I don't think they get so many letters. They're probably like freaked out when they get one.
You're right. See, we've been trained to complain. We've been in the old system, it was call your lawmakers when calls mattered.
Mm.
And then it was email lawmakers when email mattered. All they now says, I didn't get it. But if you took the time to sit down and write a letter, and in that letter, you avoided self-sabotage. Here's the self-sabotage part. You avoid the name calling. You avoid it's fraud. You just say, because there's a formula to it that works. Number one, I am in your district and your constituent. President Trump has done this. I do not seeing you support it. Here's what I want you to do. List it out. When can I expect this? You've got to understand how to construct that letter. A lawmaker will move in as little as 10 letters. It just takes 10. A congressperson, you want to get a letter campaign to actually change something. If you wanted a U.S.-wide campaign, you're talking it only takes 2,000 letters from across the United States to move. Now, you also have to understand how the mail system works with the Congress people. If you're writing a congressperson and that address on that envelope from you, which you have to put on there, is not within their district, it goes to a separate file. And it's so simple, right? It's so simple to do. We just don't understand how to use the system against itself. In fact, when letters start pouring into your lawmakers from constituents in the district, it is the only thing that gets run up the flagpole instantly. A physical letter, because they can't dodge it.
In terms of educating us viewers, why not do a video with instructing on letter writing and see what happens?
I've actually created a platform where you can click it, it'll drop in your information and make sure it goes to the right place, and we can track whether they opened it or responded to it.
You made that?
I did the first one. Back in 1997, I did writecongress.com. For the first time, people had every congressperson and they could understand where to send them a letter. We're way past that. In this iteration, a few months ago, I put all kinds of key Republican influencers together and I said, here's the system. I can generate 1 million letters to a lawmaker that have their name and information on it. It's the right way to instruct them. By the way, that is 6 semis and 100 postal trucks worth of mail. Do you think they'll pay attention?
You would hope. Yeah, absolutely.
I put all of the people on and I said, we got about $3 million worth of coding to do to build this system. And you literally have to have your own self-isolated system because it's got to use the traditional franking process. Here's what it'll take to do. You know what every one of them said? Nothing.
Catch you later? Yeah.
No, they not a follow-up, not a call-up, not of anything. It's because on the Republican side, they'll let you do it. They'll let you fund it. They'll use the hell out of it, but they won't do it for themselves. This is the only thing that now in today's society will literally move the ball. And you have to move the ball in a massive way. And you have to tell your lawmakers, you've got to do it in a way that your letter cannot be threatening.
Of course.
You have to be within the district or precinct, preferably, not mandatorily. You've got to clearly state this is the problem. You got to clearly state, but I haven't seen you do this. You have to make the demand of this is what I want from you. And then you have to make the request. when can I expect you can do this? Because people don't use those mechanisms. There are no tracking in it. This is the way we can do it. That's why I'm saying it's up to us. If we literally did it, let me show you what this would look like. I'm going to show you something on my screen that I've never shown people before. Is that okay?
It's your show, right?
Well, no, it's my show, but I want to hang on. I want to show you something. Hang on. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. Hang on. Give me a minute. I'm going to show you a video that I showed lawmakers just a few short weeks ago.
And if it's impactful, let's say your video is impactful and everybody leaves, all heads are nodding, and they don't act on it. What do you feel frustrated? And
I feel I feel so frustrated. It's nuts. The only thing I really don't do in a lot of this is names.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
the reason well, hang on. I got to use that judiciously. Right. And the naming of names. If I told you all the names of the people that just ignore this shit, people that you love and revere and think are the greatest shit in the world, you would quickly realize they too are just politicians. Let me see if I can find my video. We built this system. Now it's got to be coded for a time, even down to doing it. We can process hundreds of thousands in an hour. Right? And I even had one Republican say, well, they'll just think you're being mean to them and they'll outlaw the mail. And I'm going, how fucking stupid is that? You think you can outlaw the mail because people said this is your legal right? Well, you can't mass mail lawmakers. Who in the fuck told you it was mass mail? You got to have, the key is you got to have a person. Well, I'm gonna change that. Give me a moment here. Let me see. Where can I go get this? All I'm saying is we don't use what we have in our bag of tricks to do it right. And the reason we don't have them is because people don't want to make them. I'm looking up for a password so I can pull it off.
And part of that is ignorance too, not knowing.
A lot of it is ignorance. By the way, what do you teach? Or what are you doing in education?
It's engineering.
Beautiful. Let's see.
Your comments on education have been spot on. But I think you know that.
I'm so frustrated with that education. It's not, isn't it? I'm going to get a video and I'm going to show you this because I just sat down, lawmakers, the whole bit, saying, guys, this is what we got to do. And this is such an important topic. I'm going to choose this. I'm going to show you how we do it. But you have to do it within the laws. That's the key. You got to do it within the law.
And if you don't, you're playing into their hands.
That's right.
You're easy to be shut down, silenced, picked off, whatever it might be. I don't think anybody wants to do that. I think more of it's an effect. Let's make the change and go back. What's that expression? We're a nation of probably wills and not laws. If we're not willing to effect it, make any law you want. We're not going to. That's my comment about the bank robbery. Yeah, if you're not going to enforce the law, what difference does it make?
See, that's a different topic. And how do you get enforcement of law? You get enforcement of law by accountability. Yes, I'm looking for a video. But you get accountability by understanding how do you ask for it. Let me get them all to pop up here. 1, 2, 3. Where's my videos? Damn it. Here, I go give her one.
And I tell you that the comment I made as my example using Hillary's name and her not being held accountable was not my original idea. It came from my dad many years ago when he said that's going to become a problem.
That's right.
But he understood.
That's right.
And here we are.
And here we are. I think what people didn't understand, I'm almost close to finding this video, is how do we get...
You're making the video. You're busy. I can see.
Yeah. No, I'm in a server looking for it, and I'm going, why can't I see it? And it's such... Let me see if here's an early one. Hang on. I've got one. I want to see what it, and I will show you. Okay, that's not. Oh, that was it. I'm just going to show you one piece. So hang on. Let me get to the head of it. Okay, here you go. Again, hang on. I'm going to pull it up. Okay, stay by. I want to show you if you had one topic. This will show you how far back I went when I originally created this. But you've got to get influencers and stuff to... Folks are about to see something I've never shown publicly before. Let me... I don't want picture-in-picture. I want big screen.
I accomplished something, right?
You did. No, I say everything's a learning moment, my friend. That's why I say all of this is a learning moment. Okay. Get ready. Let me pull it up on my screen. Give me a thumbs up, by the way, Jeff, when you hear sound, okay? Just give me a thumbs up so I know you hear the sound. Here we go.
A Duck Dynasty star suspended indefinitely from the hit show after making some controversial comments during a magazine interview.
Duck Dynasty dad Phil Robertson sounds off with some anti-gay comments.
But stores are not the only places getting congested.
They're receiving more than 2,500 bags of mail.
Called out, the superstar patriarch of Duck Dynasty, Phil Robertson, put on indefinite hiatus now by A&E.
Thousands of people today are supporting Robertson and petitioning for his return. Republican Governor Bobby Jindal of Louisiana just issued this statement saying, in part, this is a free country and everyone is entitled to express their views. In fact, I remember when TV networks believed in the First Amendment. It's a messed up situation when Miley Cyrus gets a laugh and Phil Robertson gets suspended.
After some heavy lobbying by gay community. Most of the outrage seems to be about the comments he made about gay people, which are really reductive. What he's saying is because gay sex icks him out, he doesn't think that gay people are entitled to equal rights. And I always say when people write that or make that point, well, I'm grossed out by straight sex.
Basically, A&E released a statement saying, quote, "We are extremely disappointed in Phil's comments."
I am outside the U.S. Post Office in Manhattan, and we have been tipped off the single largest delivery of mail to one location. Postal executives have a news conference, but wait a minute. Let's go to that news conference.
Thank you all for coming, especially on such short notice. We won't be taking any questions today. This is just going to be a brief prepared statement, and that really will be all. Now, this morning at 9:22 a.m., the U.S. Postal Service Manhattan office dispatched 5 semi-trailers and 11 standard postal delivery trucks to deliver approximately 82,000 pounds of individual letters received through the Rocks Exchange to be delivered to 235 East 45th Street in Manhattan. Of course, that's the offices of the A&E network. Now, it took an additional 100 postal employees to deliver the mail to the A&E mailroom. Now, we have never handled a single point delivery of this type of magnitude in the entire history of the U.S. Postal Service. And although this was a very taxing thing for our postal system, by being pre-notified by the Rocks Exchange, the receipt and delivery was successfully managed. Now, the Postal Service has never seen such an outpouring of American commentary and opinion on just one single topic. And the final disposition of the handling of the letters, that's going to be up to A&E's network. Thank you so much.
Postal officials say 41 tons of mail, 1.3 million letters. Rules are mail carriers can carry 35 pounds of mail at a time. 100 postal workers made 2,321 trips to the network's offices, a staggering voicing of Americans' opinions.
When the Duck Dynasty controversy broke out, the Rocks Exchange called our newsroom and told us their servers were logging over 1,000 complaints a minute from American consumers. And at this rate, there could be over 1 million responses in the next 24 hours. So we decided to follow the letter, so to speak. Even before our camera crews could get to the Manhattan post office, reports were pouring in from people in Manhattan. As seen in these videos, postal trucks of all sizes were mobilizing just to handle the massive critical outpouring by Americans. As we interviewed postal executives, we were told this event had maxed out their systems, and they even had to make a quick delivery deal with UPS to use several of their unused trucks just to get the mail to East 45th Street offices of A&E Network. Now, we have not interviewed A&E executives yet, but sources inside tell us the executives seem caught in chaos, not with just over 40 tons of mail, but the fact that it seems 200 or 300,000 of those letters were sent return receipt requested, and someone at A&E had to sign for them. By our counts, that takes 250 hours of around-the-clock signing for those letters. I would not want to be A&E right now. Melissa?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay, so what you're seeing, that's called a pre-visualization. This is how far I've been down this rabbit hole. All of that system is a pre-visualization using other footage. What you need to understand is a 1 million letter writing campaign. Because of the postal unions, they can only carry 35 pounds of mail. They can't carry any more. When you understand the sheer magnitude of a little over 1 million letters, that in that case it's 1.23 million, that is all the resources it takes. None of it can be blocked by federal or state law. Now, let me ask you a question. If all of a sudden a lawmaker, and you have to understand, all of this comes with pre-notification. When you sent a letter, Jeff, and I sent a letter, and you got a response and I got a response, our responses also come public. If you get a different response than I do, but we're asking the same question, they play to you and not to me, we get to hold lawmakers accountable. I created the entire system to make every lawmaker, every law be accountable by this system. That's the magnitude that we have as Americans that we don't even use. Plus, it'd be great for the post office because it would put them back on the books. Now, we've said on this for a long time, and what we designed it for is accountability in the system. When I turn around and I put top 20 influencers or whatever on it, here it is. Here's how we do it. Here's what we need to do. Here's the amount of funding it's going to need to get started, because you got to prime it and do it. It's in a nondescript building. We can build it all, turn it on, just bing, it just turns on. Not a single reply. Outside of one person who was a naysayer, he says, but I just think you should give it to a PAC, a political action committee. Now, you understand the devastation that a PAC would have doing this?
Well, all the
This would
envelopes
be
would look
destructive.
identical. Yeah. Yeah.
See, this is, when I say accountability, this is not automatic draft records. We screw up. Every time somebody puts in a mass letter and you drop your name in it, they never see it. The systems pick it up. When everybody sends it, all that mail is scanned in. When that mail comes in and you're doing that same letter, form letter, it's over. It moves nothing. So you have to be able to understand how to use the system against itself to hold the system accountable. That's what I'm saying is arrest does not create accountability. Accountability is created by us, we the people. It's we the people that don't understand how to get to accountability. Now imagine the Senate moves, the entire Senate moves, right? If as little as 21 letters from actual constituents come in. That is the power of a singular letter. What we do as people, we don't do it. What we think is somebody go, oh, I got a son that's got a handy cam and a video cam, and he's got a program, and he can do a website, and we can do these letters. You're already dead. You'll never go through the system, because people never pay attention to the rules of accountability, and you have to be able to manage it in a one-on-one transaction from beginning to end. This technology can be done. This technology can be out here. But when you even talk to, that's the problem with quote unquote conservative side. You tell them, look, okay, here's what it is. It's going to take about $3 million for the back end build, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We should prime it with about $2 million because we're going to have to get major influencers to do it. We're going to have to get people to understand it, et cetera. Well, if you do it, let me know.
It's already being picked apart. Yeah.
Well, no, it's because the right wants to raise money for their nonprofits. And the right is built upon hoping people volunteer and do it. They
I see that.
put all the onus out on the people. They put all the onus on volunteer. Let's give an example. Look how many people volunteer for Cause of America, Lindell's effort. Working free, don't even understand. It's getting funded to the tune of $200,000 a month. Nobody sees that. It's because they will use the people as much as they can and never show documents, show proof, show accountability, because that's not how the system's set. So for you, this was my whole topic. I sit here and know we, the people, can hold the system accountable if we understand how accountability comes. I'll give you a prime example. You could pick one topic right there. In what part of the country are you in, Jeff?
South Florida.
Yeah, South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You could pick one topic in South Florida. And if you did this exactly how it has to be done, you did it right. You don't do form letters. You don't do form mailers. You don't have Chester labels or that's just not how it's done, right? But if you actually did it, if you were to get 200 or 300 or 400 people together, you will move and absolutely not only have accountability, you'll have laws, you'll have press conferences. The system works off the people don't understanding how much power they have. And that's why I only pushed back on you. An arrest creates a little bit of visibility, but it doesn't create accountability. What'd I miss?
Not I was hitting you push back on me. I was pushing.
No. I'm using you as a teaching moment. Unless all of us can discuss these things and the other person didn't even want to come on.
You're talking impactful. And I do remember more vaguely that in 2000, when the pregnant Chad thing was going on down here, back and forth to the courts, and down here in South Florida, and I'm gonna give a compliment to a group of people. The counters were with magnifying glasses looking at these things and arguing it back and forth. There was a piece of glass there so people could look in the room, and individuals started pounding on the glass. I think it was day 2 or 3 because they recognized something. This was a group from the Miami Cuban community who said, hey, we've seen this before. No. And the people on the other side of the glass felt, look, they were intimidated, but a point was made. You're not going to do this. You're out of your purview here. You're trying to make stuff up as it goes, and we're holding you accountable. I didn't say any crime happened, but that was a big moment in our history because they backed off. Like similar to you getting, we're going to overwhelm you with a million letters.
Right.
They're going to something physical makes people stop what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to create a physical manifestation of accountability. So I basically say lawmakers talk out of both sides of their ass. But when you have we the people looking for that, and I know you sent a letter, but you're in this district, and they covered 2 districts, and I got a letter, and one letter, he says, I'm going to fight for this, and your letter goes, well, I stand with you, and we're not going to do it. I think right? We have no mechanisms to hold lawmakers accountable.
Well, that was good. I mean, in the past, I've called, I think it was my senator, and I asked them to go to their neighboring senator, not in my state, and tell them to put their phone back on the hook because I want to leave a message for them too.
And you can, but see now the issues, phones have, and here's why I did this. I was the person that released in the mid to late 90s. I released the Star Report online. I was the first person to take it and put it online so people can get it. There was so little, about 5% of homes at that time, 4% of homes had internet usage at that time, but it generated 200+ thousand emails from me talking about it on my Fox broadcast to the Justice Department. It was so much that the Justice Department picked up the phone and told me, you can't put the Justice Department's email out. And I said, that's a public email address, buddy. And you can't tell me not to do this.
Throw it out.
I realized what the power was, and that's why I did the original Right Congress, which is just kind of a standard thing to there. But see, we're not adept at even getting an envelope or a letter today or a stamp, right? And doing these things. The only thing I was trying to, and using your comment, is an arrest is not accountability. An arrest is following the law, which you expect, and the arrest might make you feel like something happened, but in the scope of the crime, it didn't stop the crime. Where I'm trying to push people is we have to understand that we are the mechanism that changes every bit of this. They have the whole world conned that it's the lawmakers that do it. It's not. It's us. But until we learn to use our power and use it within the confines of the law in a way that they can't block it. Like, and I'll give you an example. If those bag of mail went there and a lawmaker's office threw them in the dumpster, would it make a difference? Yes, because and without telling you how, we'd find it and that would become a news story. They threw them away, didn't even look. That would generate another news story right back on the lawmaker. See, we don't have points of accountability.
Okay. Yeah.
Am I interrupting there? I
agree with what you're saying. I have to take off now. So,
well, look, I appreciate you. I just want to have the discussion of what is really accountability. I'm not saying we rob a bank. It's so what? Nothing's going to happen. That's not my.
I'm not going to go rob the bank now. I have to go to the school.
That's not my point. But I appreciate you coming on, Jeff. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
And I have to go tend my avocado trees. Those are the ones. Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
I hope they work out for you. Take care. So, folks, here's my only point in this. Let me pop back out my chat so I can kind of see what you're saying. My only point in all of us is the system has led us to believe it's them. It is not them. It is so much the opposite, right? It's us. And until we take the time, right, to understand how do we use our rights under law, how do we get engaged, how do we hold people accountable, but it must, in a technology world, it must talk back and forth to be accountability. Those of you that got an answer from a lawmakers that you said, I'm against this, and they say, I'm against it too, but somebody in their same district wrote, I'm for this, and they write back, say, I'm for this too. Until we can hold a lawmaker accountable for what they say, right? We're doomed. We're doomed in thinking that the system is designed for fixes. There are no government, state, local, or otherwise systems that are self-auditable, self-repairable. We, on the other hand, are the only things that move decisions in government. Why do you think the left spends so much money on violent activism? Because it makes everybody pay attention. Because it makes the lawmakers freak out. On the right, we haven't created our mechanisms. I think getting out in the street is ignorant. So overdone, it's like calling somebody a racist. That's overdone. However, on the right, if we learn how to fight within a system with tools, then we can literally move government. You guys did it when you held Brnovich accountable when he was running for Senate after not paying attention to the audit. And a double handful of you say, look, I'll follow the formula. Tell me what the formula is. And you did. And you rocked his world and took him from a 76%, where he was at 70%, 6%, he get the seat. And you took him to third place of 4. My only issue in this whole discussion, which somebody says Streetcar, who was chicken shit, wouldn't even come on. Totally fine. If I don't know why, excuse me, I don't even know why you even comment if you won't defend your own words. And there is the problem. We can talk a lot. We can talk in mass. We can gather by the thousands doing this stuff. But until we understand how the words work, how the system works, and what moves the system, all we have is hopium. Now, I showed you one simple iteration. If 1 million people got together, and it can't be a form letter, and it can't go to the website, fill in your information, it can't. It's dead. It won't move anything. But if you work within the system to do it right, make sure it comports to law, make sure it's done a certain way. You saw the power of 1 million. 1 million letters, everybody going, what the fuck are all these trucks? Well, that would be 1 million of you holding a single lawmaker accountable. Now, what else do you have on the other side of the hook? You got 1 million people that provided the right instructions to the lawmakers the right way, demanded an answer. What if you don't get answers? You know what you did? You just proved that lawmakers not willing to be accountable. They could never escape from it. What if the lawmakers answered half this way and half this way? You'd understand the lawmakers, just being a politician, doesn't care about it. And they look at what you say you're for, and they just say they're with you. You would be able to expose the lies. But until we, the people, do something, nothing's going to happen. We don't have to go to war and riot in the streets. That's what the system wants. I'm not willing to give up our Second Amendment. Therefore, you must think strategically. You must think legally, and you must think, how do I operate within a system and use the system against itself? See, that's the power of Doge, using the system against itself. The data is there. The leaks in money is there. But until you could see how much was really going and that it was bullshit, nothing moved. It only moved when you had the power of the manifestation of seeing the numbers. See, prior to that, we knew, but legally we assumed the government was wasting money. This is where we fail. Yet, we have every bit of technology in the world to fix this, every bit of technology in the world to do this, and every bit of technology to save ourselves and to get rid of these lawmakers. But we have to play within a system that's set up a certain way to understand how to move the system. And so all the massive bitching about money being wasted, think about how long people have been bitching about that. The only thing that ever changed it was when somebody weaponized the data so they couldn't get away from it. Yes, it's still a fight, but now you have something to measure against. And that's what I was saying, trying to get for people in chat. Well, what about robbing a bank? Or what about stealing a car? What are you going to do, dog? You mean it's okay? We don't hurt anybody? That's your fucking loser attitude. Here's one thing I know. When you think in that pattern, well, you just don't want to hold them accountable. You think it's okay. I already understand. You're a fucking loser. And losers don't do shit but complain. So at least you're perfecting your craft. Bitch, 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 moan, moan, moan. But you're not moving the needle. For me, I want to move the needle. The moral in every bit of this, the needle will only move when we understand how the system is played. Now I'll give you some numbers. Mike Lindell sold $400 million in pillows at a wild ass margin, but claims he's broke. When he got booted from Bed Bath & Beyond, what did Patriots do? Patriots fucking stood up, right? Did the rally call, and we ordered more pillows. Mike's margins went even better than what he was doing at retail. He made even more money, but yet he has no money. Then Mike said he needed to be defended and raised $18.3 million. Oh, and in that mix went public at $127 million. That's how the system's set up. But did we, the people, move the ball through that surrogacy? Did anything get fixed through all the surrogacy of it's the machines, my laws? Did anything get fixed? No, but see, what we did is we fell into the system to the tune of $1 billion almost and didn't move the ball. But what did it do? Well, it actually took all the money out of the room. You thought you were doing something when you were donating to Lindell Defense Fund. This is why the mental gymnastics are not up to our lawmakers. The mental gymnastics is up to we, the people, to understand how the system is allowed not to do things if we don't follow procedure. It's why you could be innocent of murder, but charged with murder, decide to rep yourself, but you're fucking going to go to prison for life. Not because you did it, but because you didn't know the rules. You didn't follow the rules, so you couldn't present no evidence. This is how the system abuses us. This is how the system continues to profit. This is how the system moves us instead of us moving the system. Because our first knee jerk is to think an arrest equates to accountability. No, an arrest equates to enforcement. But it has very little to do with accountability. If we want accountability, and it's not justice, that's even butchered and overused. Why would you go out there and say, we want justice, we want justice? You might stand with Greta Thunberg. It works for them, but it doesn't work in the real world. They use it to raise money and create division. Or you're going to stand there, well, but we want justice. Is it even justice? No. Arrest is enforcement. You want that. But see, we're not talking about enforcement. That's why I say Fauci could be arrested. But does it change anything? No. Hillary could be arrested for what she's done. But does it change anything? No. If we, the people, learn the mechanics, we are the only things that will create change in the system and will permanently change the system. Now, how do they keep this change from preventing? By getting you addicted to chaos and bitching. Every time there's any movement that looks positive, the system manufactures a new crisis because it's so bitching. Oh, look at that. I knew they were satanic. Synagogue of Satan. It does this because they can't afford for you doing this. And that's why I say, and sometimes it sounds really weird, nothing else matters but getting this fixed. And the very first fix is your own mindset. And when you understand the incredible power you have, if you wake up, we'll win. Therefore, my work is wake up one more, wake up one more, wake up one more, wake up one more. And invariably, you look across the system, you can see it. That means we're now awake and we see it. We must now move to now What are we going to do about it? Now, for me, the do about is never riot, not get in the streets with our guns. That's a con. And they will support that. They will support it because they want to take away our Second Amendment right. You got to kind of become your own Lincoln lawyer on it, understand how it works. And I'm telling you, and you know it. Have you ever had a paper cut? Fucking hurts like hell, doesn't it? A little bitty tiny. You can't even see it. Most of them don't even bleed. That's a little tiny paper cut, and it fucking hurts like hell. Well, what happens if we get smart and we want enforcement and we want accountability and we want justice and we want move it? Can you imagine what a fucking million paper cuts feels like? It just all has to happen within the rules. And that's the only thing that matters. How do you use the system against itself? I love you all. Hope this generates some ideas. And if anybody wants to talk about stroking a big check, we can do this and get it done.
The upcoming 2026 midterms could be a bloodbath for Republicans? How? Consider this. On Election Day 2008, Barack Obama received 69 million votes. In his second term, he racked up 65 million votes, and he was considered the Democrat rock star president. Then Hillary ran against Donald Trump. She received the same 65 million votes. But come 2020, Joe Biden supposedly received 81 million votes. Was he really more popular than Obama or Hillary? Of course not. But that is not the half of it. In the 2024 election, Kamala Harris received 68 million votes. But did you know that now it's almost 2 years after that election, and somehow Kamala Harris has been elevated to over 75 million votes? How does a candidate get 8 million more votes after the election? Is this an attempt to validate the fraudulent 81 million vote fantasy from 2020? You bet. One thing stands between chaos and correcting history, and that is the historic 2020 full forensic archive of Maricopa County, Arizona. The single most detailed full audit of a presidential election in American history, audited over 2 million ballots, generated over 20,895,000 individual proof files. This took 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. This evidence must be kept for any and all future court cases, Supreme Court cases, and preserved for all time, eventually at the Trump Presidential Library. That is why we need you. You, the people, made this history happen, and now you, the people, can have a hand in making sure this evidence is saved for future generations. Please donate. Please help us. Donate now to continue to preserve a chain of custody state of the only legal court-ready evidence of the 2020 election disaster. The 2.1 million physical ballots, the single largest forensic audit of a presidential election in American history. Please donate now and preserve history.